Hope you all doing well. So there's been a lot of people on YouTube and elsewhere talking about inflation has now reached 2008 levels. And that may be very well true. I suspect it probably is pretty close. But they're comparing it to the 2008 crash. And I think that's wrong. And I'm going to try and explain why, at least my reasoning why. When we had the 2008 crash, what that stemmed from, for the most part, was two things. Now, it was partly engineered and partly because of a policy that you knew that if enacted, it was going to eventually crush the housing market. And that's why it was enacted. Let me try and explain this and see if I can get it in detail. By the way, before I start on this, well, no, I'll do that in a different video. Jimmy Carter enacted a policy, and you hear this all the time from the liberal Democrats and that, and minority leaders, so to speak, even though they're not leaders, I wouldn't call them that, but activists, that mortgage loans were racist because enough minorities, particularly blacks, weren't qualifying for them. So therefore, it's racist. So Jimmy Carter enacted a policy to loosen up the restraints for minority borrowers. Well, Bill Clinton came along and he put it on steroids. And basically what it was is if someone walked into the door for a loan, you had to find a program for them. And that was explained to me by a former CFO of a large mortgage company in Vegas. And he explained to me how it worked. So they walked in the door, you had to find a loan for them or else you were racist and they could file a complaint against you. So what you had then was you had, especially starting, say, in the 90s up through 2000, you had a lot of bad loans out there. And they knew they were bad loans. And people were keeping up to a point, but the economy was very hot then, especially got very hot right around 2004. And more people wanted to buy a home and become become part of the American dream of owning your own home. So they knew they had all these bad loans out there, and what they would do is, and these were called the subprime lenders, who, by the way, was the major funding source of Obama early on in his campaign for president. Nobody talks about that. Type in will the last honest reporter please turn out the lights? If you can still find that article, he explains it very well. He was talking about at one Obama event, he said, you can't swing a cat without hitting a subprime lender. So anyway, what they would do is they would take these bad loans and they would package them with these good loans, and then they would sell them off. And so, you were trying to cushion the damage that if these bad loans defaulted, you had enough good loans to cover the bad loans. That was their way of getting around the laws in the system. Well, then along comes 2008, and all these people have bought these homes. The market was so hot, basically 2004 through 2007, the prices went up, amazing. Out here in Nevada, you literally had to be at the door when it came on the market. Heck, we even got one house refused, even though we bid over their asking price, because we just wanted a clause in there that we could use a VA loan if we wanted. They said they didn't want to do that. It might take too long. So, but I'll use our example here in northern Nevada. Reno had gotten so expensive that people couldn't afford to buy houses. First-time homeowners couldn't afford to buy houses in Reno. So what they started doing is they started moving 40, 50 miles out, like into our town, and buying up houses. But they were working in Reno, so they were driving that 40, 90-mile, 100-mile round trip every day, or 5 days a week, or whatever they were working. And the vast majority of people had trucks or SUVs, and that was okay when gas was around $1.50, $2 a gallon. But then gas in 2008 went through the roof, and I remember I was listening to the radio, and all I kept hearing was how bad the economy was. And 2008 was a boom year for me. Business was great. I started calling around a lot of the CEOs and business owners that I knew. I said, "Hey, what's business like with you?" And they all told me, they said, "Business is great." So I keep hearing on the radio and TV that the economy's in the tank. And they said, "Well, not for me," which I was experiencing the same thing. And then gas prices started going up. And I remember sitting at a red light when it got up over $4. I believe it was up over $4. And I'm like, man, I can't believe this isn't affecting the economy. And then like somebody turned on a switch. Again, I'm just talking about here. But this was happening over most of the country. But it's happened primarily where there was a lot of illegal aliens, because construction was so busy here. All these Californians moved their business up here in northern Nevada, and they brought all their illegal workers with them. So you had a lot of people. You had this intense need for housing in this area that was a pretty quiet area for the most part. And that was fine. At $2 a gallon, they could, even though they bought as much house as they could, they were still right at their tipping point. And when gas got up to $4 a gallon, excuse me, then they had to choose between getting to work and making a house payment. And then the economy just crashed. Well, there was no more jobs for all these illegal aliens. Most of them either went back to California or went back to Mexico. And and the crash just hit hard. And the hardest states hit were California, Nevada, Arizona, Florida. Four states with the highest illegal alien population. And that was for a reason. So that's what drove 2008. This year, 2021, is an entirely different story. The economy is still relatively strong. With Trump's policies, we rebounded better than just, I think, any country in the world, actually, over this COVID thing. And the economy is still pretty strong, but we're coming up with a lot of separate issues all coming together number one is a lot of these ships on the West Coast anyway, there's really only two ports they come into, Long Beach and Los Angeles. Well, because of COVID restrictions and everything else, normally a ship that would stay offshore waiting to dock and offload its stuff would only maybe have to wait a day out at sea. As of not too long ago, they were waiting 2 weeks just to get into port. And then they would offload all their Carnexes, but there's nobody there to reload Carnexes to send them back to Asia, say, for example. So the price of the Carnex, the price of shipping is almost double. And then you got, people talking about, well, there's no beef or chicken or that. Well, Tyson's explained what happened. They're the number two chicken producer in the country. Well, they've admitted they made a mistake. They tried to change out their roosters, and the program was a complete failure. The roosters, the hens weren't laying with these roosters like they were with the old ones. So they've already gone back to their old policy of getting the old roosters in there and getting the hens back to laying like they normally do. But it's going to take a while for it to all catch up. That's why a lot of places are out of chicken, and so I guess what I'm trying to get at is it's not time to push the panic button yet. Now, I am concerned about the money with us printing so much money. I am concerned about, and the other aspect of it is labor. There's a huge labor shortage right now, and people, these especially like these fast food places and stuff like that, not necessarily the more top tier roles. Their wages haven't changed or haven't budged, so to speak. But to get these entry level people in, they're having to pay them so much more than normal. So again, they're having to raise prices, which is raising inflation. Same way in the meat producing plant. Plus, don't forget, we had to hack on the pipeline in the southeast. We've had to hack on the beef plants. That I think is somebody just really trying to cause us as much problem as possible because they see a weak administration. There's two main actors. We won't talk about who they are. Everybody knows who they are. And it's causing a lot of separate issues. So I don't think it's time to push the panic button yet. As long as Biden doesn't spend his $6 trillion that he wants to spend, then, I think we'll get out of this just fine, especially with interest rates as low as they are. But, this economy is strange. This last 2 years, including this year, is strange. We've just had the hottest economy. We went into 2020 with the hottest economy that I've seen in my lifetime, and nothing has really changed to affect that. We had a pause because of COVID, but most places are already back, and I think we'll be back to normal here pretty soon. Of course, you can always expect the Democrats to screw something up, but I think on purpose most of the time. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. You all have a good day. Bye.